Okay, well, it's another day, and what I'm going to do now, last time we left off, I had a problem with my exhaust manifolds not fitting. Again, this is the 302 conversion for the 1962 Comet, and I'm not the first person to do this, and I don't see why this wouldn't work. But anyway, the manifolds are hitting the shock towers. So what I'm going to do is I've already got the engine lifted back up a little bit. I'm going to take this manifold off, and I'm going to attempt to, one area that's touching, I'm going to attempt to shave it down a little bit. I know the casting on the manifolds are quite thick, so I'm going to see if I could file it down a little bit. At this point, I don't really have much to lose. They don't fit, so let's take this out and give it a shave down. See if we gain anything. Okay, so here's my manifold for the passenger side. And when I've got it this way, seems that the area that's hitting would be right around here from the underside. So I've kind of marked off with the paint marker. There's a little bit of a rib that goes along here. Obviously it is for some kind of a strength, but at this point I don't really have much to lose. I'm going to shave this off, and there's also a little embossed area. I'm going to grind this down. Now this casting is pretty thick. Now obviously if I cut through it, it's no good, but I'm going to try to not cut through it. I'm going to try my best not to destroy it. If I can take this rib down and smooth this whole corner off, that may be just the clearance I need to get this in place. Let's hope anyway. Okay, well this took just a minute, and I nibbled off with my zip cut. I nibbled off the corner here. Now I'm kind of afraid to take too much off, but you know, this took some off. Now, is it going to be enough for that clearance? I have my doubts. But the ridge is gone, and it was quite, it's quite a pronounced ridge. It's all part of the casting process, I would say. So maybe, why don't I just throw it back in now just to see what happens? I mean, what if? Just what if this was my solution? I don't think I'll get off this easy, but it's worth a shot, and if it's still touching, I'll take a little bit more. And then after that, well, geez, I don't know. Go find a straight 6 or something. I don't know. No, just kidding. I'm not going to get a straight 6. I'm going to try to make this. I'm going to try to make a go of this. I just very, very reluctant to touch the shock towers. They're perfect, and that's structural, and it's the weight of the front of the car, and it's the steering and suspension, and I'm going to keep at this. Hopefully I can make this work. All right, let's throw this in the car to see if I've gained anything. Okay, well, let's try this again. In case you missed that, I did a beautiful job in here. Beautiful. I even polished it. Unfortunately for me, this is the corner I had to do. So, yeah, honest mistake. I mean, it's always more fun to do everything 2 and 3 times. So, now this does not have the big rib that the other side had. So, but it's kind of a very crude casting. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how deep I can go in here. It's next to impossible to judge. But I'm going to nibble away at this corner. Try this again. All right. Okay, well, the dilemma continues with my exhaust manifolds. And here's what's going on. Here's what I've discovered. So my driver's side manifold, it fits perfect. And I did go ahead, and even before I tried it, I ground this groove down. Not a groove, but this ridge, whatever you want to call it, this casting piece. I ground this down just as a precaution, but I slid this manifold in on the driver's side. And of course the driver's side, it's got the gas line coming up. It's got the steering box. I always thought this was going to be an issue. Well, this fits perfect and there's lots of clearance. Now this is the passenger side, and this is the one this is the one you've already seen. This is the one that's causing me all the grief, and I didn't really understand why, but I do now. And as it turns out, this is an old school exhaust manifold, as in this is something from the 70s. And the design of these is a lot slimmer. And it has this style, kind of that recessed, where the tube goes in with the donut gasket. This is good. This is from the 70s. This is perfect. Now, this one here, this was a replacement. Now, when I bought my engine, I never looked at the manifolds that closely, and it obviously didn't really matter at the time. This is a replacement manifold, and it even has a different, this is the kind that you have like I guess you call that the ball socket or whatever. This would be more something from the 80s or 90s. The casting is much heavier. And if I even just pick this up, it weighs a ton compared to this. So, this is just how they're made. And to make a long story short, there's lots of these around. There's none of these. I mean, none. So I even went to an engine rebuilder shop in the town where I live. So I could either try to grind this some more, but it's, at some point it's going to get too thin and it's probably going to crack. I do have a call out to a buddy of mine that has lots of Ford parts. Now, at the engine rebuilders, they said these are impossible to find. I mean, maybe you can get lucky and find a used one, kind of like I did. But what they suggested is I could get custom headers. And they have a place down in the U.S., I think it's in California, custom ordered headers to fit, a Comet or Falcon, for the 302 conversion, $1,000. So I may do that. I was hoping that I wouldn't have to spend $1,000. Not that I don't have $1,000 to spend. It's just if I have all these, I would rather just make my old stuff work. This is probably not going to work, but I do have this. I do have another pair of manifolds, because when I bought my engine, it came with these two manifolds. And then, of course, my engine, when I bought it, if you watch any of my previous videos, the engine had no intake manifold. So I found, after the fact, this junk engine. And this junk engine, I only paid $200 for. And it came with two manifolds, the old school ones. It came with I basically bought this for the intake manifold, which I took off, cleaned up, if you watch my videos, and that ended up here, as did that carburetor. So I bought this. I got the intake. I bought this basically for the intake manifold, and I was able to take the carburetor, clean it up, and stick it on here. So this was money well spent. Now, this also came with exhaust manifolds, which is what I was talking about right here. And this exhaust manifold, I did not want to use this. This would be a passenger side one. It is a little bit slimmer than the more modern one I'm trying to use. It does have these really high ridges that could be shaved down to give me even more clearance. The reason why I did not want to use it is because it's a straight back. And I wanted more something like this. I wanted more something like this one. But this is another driver's side, so I'm going to hang on to this like it's made out of gold. So yeah, the junk engine was a good buy. Now, back to this. I didn't want to use this because it goes straight back. I wanted one that turns down. I wanted a matching pair. I wanted, turn down, turn down. So this was on a Ford Bronco. So go figure, something on a Ford Bronco. This, I think this will fit. I was not happy with that, but the guy at the engine rebuilders told me that this was okay as long as I had 6 inches between here and the firewall so that the exhaust can come up and curve. And I do, because I had this on. It does rub, but not as bad as this more modern one. So if I shave this down, I'm going to be careful. I'm going to shave these ribs down, and I'm going to try this manifold in again. And if this works, I'm going to call this a win, although it's not exactly what I wanted. He claims that as long as there's 5 or 6 inches, and it looks like there might be, we'll check again, that the exhaust people, because once I get this car all done, I'm going to bring it in to have an exhaust made. So be it. They'll have to curve, they'll be different on one side than the other. One side will come up like this. The other one will have to just be, anyway. That'll be their problem, not mine. I would much rather have a pair again. But before I go spending $1,000, let's shave this down a little bit and see if I can make this work. It's not ideal, but that's what it's like when you're refitting old stuff. Plan A, Plan B, Plan C, Plan D. So anyway, I could still do the headers. They're $1,000. And if I have to, I will. And I've also got a call out to a buddy of mine. I'll see what he has to say. He's got lots of parts. He's the guy that got me my transmission. He has, he's got scads and scads. He's got shed full of parts. So, let's shave this off and try to put it in there. All right. That's where I'm at right now. Fingers crossed that this will work. Okay, well, I've been grinding for about 15-20 minutes. First, I cut the ribs off, and then I polished them down. So everything's nice and smooth, no sharp edges or anything. I just don't know if it's going to be enough. Seems like I took a lot off. I don't want to get too carried away. Let's throw it in and try it. And hopefully it works. It might not. I might have to take more off, but I don't know. I don't want to go too deep. Let's see. Okay, well, the manifold is in. And look at that. We did it. We did it. Ground the ribs off. I can stick my whole finger between there. So hopefully there won't be too much rocking. A whole finger should be thick enough. That should be big enough of a gap. Anyway, better than when it was nudged up there and scraped all my paint off. So the old school manifold, the straight back connection, that looks like it's going to work. The worst case, the worst thing I can see is maybe the transmission tube might be in the way a little bit. Easy fix. That can be pushed over, twisted a bit. So this was my worst side. I now have a clearance. And this is my driver's side. And there's all kinds of room here. Why is it wider here than there? I don't know. Everything's symmetrical. The mounts are symmetrical. Anyway, the manifolds are different. One is pointing down. The other one is straight back. This one had a little bit heavier ribs. I took all the ribs off. I didn't dig any more into the casting, so hopefully it's not compromised because, some of that stuff, if you wear it down too thin, you can cause a weak area and it could crack. So I'm hoping this will be good. Pretty happy about that. So I still got to slip the gaskets in. I'm going to do that, put all the bolts in. I'm going to put the plugs back in, the wires, and I'm going to call this done for now. And I'm going to jump back inside to do something a little bit more fun. some insulation. All right. Okay, so I'm just in the middle of installing the gasket. So I've got the manifold loosened off. I got the first and the last bolt installed, and this thing comes with little hooks on the ends instead of holes. So you can pretty much just bring it down like this and just basically drop it into place. There. I just put that gasket in with one hand and holding the camera with the other. So not bad, not bad. So I'll tighten these up. I'm going to do the same on the other side. Like I said, done with this. I'm not going to bore you anymore. I'm going to put this back together. I'm going to call it for this video. I'm going to call this this is going to be the exhaust manifold nightmare or something like that. Anyway, it was a close call. I just saved myself $1,000 by having this old junk. So thank God I bought that old junk engine when I did. Best $200 I ever spent. Next video, I think I'm going to jump into the inside. I want to get that insulation in and start reassembling the inside of the car. Okay, that's all for now. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining me here in my struggles. And we'll catch you on the next one.